Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back to another round of in-depth candle reviews. I hope your day is off to a fantastic start. I have 3 more candles that are ready to be reviewed today. So we're going to be taking a journey through those 3 fragrances together. In this first video here, we are obviously going to be discussing the HomeWorx Woodside Holiday Traditions. This is a part of the recent Rakuten & Co. and Elton John collaboration that launched over on QVC. I actually was lucky enough to be able to preview the advent calendar as well as one of the fragrances from the 3-wick set of 2 collections. I was sent the Merry Marmalade. I fell in love with this fragrance when I smelled it in that advent calendar, and that is what immediately made me add this to my cart over at QVC. When the collection launched, I knew that I needed this candle, you guys, and it is so incredibly beautiful. I very rarely say, yes, you should definitely go and try this, but I'm gonna say it with this one because I think it is so beautiful. So if you are a fan of Nest Holiday, you're really gonna like this one because the 2 are so incredibly similar. I will compare the fragrance notes here in this video. So yeah, anyway, you guys, let's dig into the Holiday Traditions fragrance here. So this was released in this ceramic format here. The color that you see on my ceramic is actually something that I did myself. If you will remember my back to my haul video about a couple of weeks ago, when I unboxed this particular candle, I had ordered the green finish. And unfortunately, a lot of the silver was showing through the green finish. Since filming that video, I have kind of heard from a few people that the red and the green were the colors that had the most imperfections in the finish. So your color options here are black, gold, green, red, or silver. I wouldn't personally recommend the green, especially if you're not willing to customize it, but I have heard that the finish on the silver, the gold, and the black are much better. So just maybe avoid the green and the red. All that being said, all of the fragrances in all of the colored vessels is exactly the same. You're always going to be getting the Woodside Holiday Traditions, but you can select the color that you like. I will definitely be ordering another one of these. Now, I have to wait until January when my candle budget resets, but I really am very much interested in picking up a backup of this particular candle because it has had such a great performance for me. And like I said, it reminds me so much of my beloved Nest Holiday. I've actually been a fan of Holiday for probably, I don't know if it's been a decade at this point, but I have definitely been purchasing that fragrance from Nest every holiday season for many years at this point. It's one of my holiday staples. I am never without it. And the 2 are so similar. I tend to have really bad luck with my Nest candles that are 3-wick or above in size. I actually only purchase Nest candles at this point in their 8-ounce 1-wick format. I think that has the best possible burn. I just find that the 3-wicks tend to get really messy right around the halfway point, and it just doesn't look very pretty. It does start to kind of affect the fragrance as well. And so I tend to, in the past, I have basically just melted the remainder of my Nest candle once I've burned it to the halfway point. But if you do want to try Nest Holiday, I would absolutely recommend picking it up in their 8-ounce 1-wick size for sure. So let's go ahead and read through the fragrance notes here. I will compare this one to the fragrance notes of Nest Holiday just so you can see how incredibly similar they are to each other just based on the fragrance notes alone. We'll talk about the overall strength and throw, and we'll talk about any burn issues. So let's go ahead and dig in. So this is obviously a ceramic vessel here. Again, I customized mine. This is a rose gold spray paint, and over top of that, I applied a little bit of my Rub and Buff in the shade European Gold to add a little bit more depth. This fragrance has a burn time of about 70 to 100 hours. Now, admittedly, I have not been writing down the number of hours that I've burned this one. Usually I find that the number of hours that they list on the bottom of the jar is pretty accurate. So I'm gonna say that this is probably gonna land somewhere in the 70 to 100 hour mark. These are 6-wick candles, so you're getting a lot of wicks here, and obviously the opening is fairly wide. The diameter is 7.8 inches. And the height of this one is about 5.4 inches. Now, this weighs 6.9 pounds. So it is a fairly substantial candle. This is a great, what I call coffee table candle. It's absolutely beautiful. The fragrance notes on this 50-ounce candle read, a blend of fresh orange pomander, fir balsam, amber, and cinnamon bark. So what do I actually smell here? Okay, I think the very first thing that always hits me when I light this one up is that beautiful fir balsam note. It has a slight amount of sweetness to it, almost like you're getting some of that like tree sap in with that holiday tree note there. It's really a beautiful tree fragrance. I absolutely smell some orange pomander here. I consider myself a little bit of an orange pomander connoisseur, and this is my favorite type of take on pomander because there's a little bit more of a focus on the orange than the clove. Some of these orange pomander fragrances that I have checked out in the past are a little heavier on the clove versus the orange. So I like that this has that really fresh, bright, like navel orange citrus note with more of that like hint of the clove versus like a heavy dose of clove. I definitely smell cinnamon in here. I wouldn't say it's necessarily cinnamon bark. I think it smells more of like your classic like baking type of cinnamon scent, more of like a Ceylon cinnamon. And I love the amber at the base. Listen, I absolutely smell that warm, resinous, slightly perfumey amber note here. It's incredibly well done, and I think it helps this fragrance smell a little bit more sophisticated, even maybe a little bit more elevated in its presentation. This is such a perfect scent, you guys. You smell all of those different fragrance notes. They're perfectly balanced. This is downright beautiful and definitely a very classic, sophisticated holiday fragrance. Now, I told you that I would compare it to the Nest Holiday fragrance, so I'm gonna read those fragrance notes to you now, and you'll see why I think this smells so much like Nest Holiday. Okay, the fragrance notes for Holiday read pomegranate, pine, mandarin orange, cloves, cinnamon, with a hint of vanilla and amber. So, what are the similarities? Absolutely, the orange like pomander component is exactly the same between both of these. It's a nice, fresh, juicy orange that you smell in Holiday. There is that beautiful hint of the clove. The cinnamon notes, I swear, are exactly the same. Now, the difference between the tree notes is they are slightly different. I do think in Holiday you get more of a true pine versus a fir balsam. But I mean, they both smell like they have a great holiday tree component to them. So, I mean, in the end, they probably end up smelling very similar when it comes to the tree note, actually. Obviously, you don't have any pomegranate in the Woodside holiday traditions. You do smell that touch of pomegranate in the Holiday. And at the base with the vanilla and the amber, You definitely smell a tiny touch of vanilla in Nest Holiday, and clearly that is not in the Woodside Traditions. But I promise you that amber note is almost exactly the same between the two. It's definitely at the base of the fragrance. It adds a touch of perfuminess. It adds that sophistication. It's a warm, resinous amber, just like in the Woodside Holiday Traditions. Listen, I think the two fragrances are, I wouldn't say entirely interchangeable, because obviously we have that little addition of the pomegranate and the vanilla in the Holiday. But for the most part, I don't think that most people could really tell a difference between the two. They are incredibly similar, and they are both beautiful, beautiful fragrances. But I tell you what, I think this format here, the Woodside Holiday Traditions, burns a heck of a lot better than the 3-wick or above from Nest Holiday. So all that being said, the scent itself is heavenly, and if you really love Nest Holiday, I would absolutely tell you, go get this. It is beautiful. You're gonna love it, and the performance has been stellar, you guys. The strength and throw of this are both like a solid 8. So we obviously have 6 wicks here. We have a larger diameter. We're gonna be getting more fragrance output just based on that. It is kind of the perfect amount of fragrance that this one puts out. I don't think it's overwhelming. I don't think it smacks you in the face in an aggressive way. It really is a very welcoming, comforting, homey, but at the same time, really sophisticated holiday fragrance. It is noticeable throughout the bulk of the downstairs of my house when I'm burning it. I have had it in the kitchen. I have had it in the formal living room. No matter where I put this one, the strength and throw has been exactly the same. It's a consistent performer, and it's beautiful. In terms of burn issues, honestly, I haven't had really any burn issues. I think one of the complaints that I might be able to state is that this one does tend to form some pretty big mushroom tops, and the wicks are slightly on the thinner side. So you need to be careful when you're trimming them to make sure that you don't over trim these wicks. I like to use cuticle scissors. I would not recommend like the bigger like wick trimmers. I think it's too easy to snap off too much of the wick with a wick trimmer. Even if you just have to use a regular pair of scissors, use those scissors and just nip that little mushroom top off. Those mushroom tops do form after every single burn. I have not noticed any discoloration in the wax at all. I'll give you guys an overhead view. You might see a little bit of a little bit of discoloration floating around, but that's actually not from the wicks. That's not discoloration from the wicks or anything like that. That is from the spray paint that accidentally got into the wax when I customized this ceramic piece before I started burning it. I didn't bother to scrape that little overspray off, so it just kind of became a part of the wax pool. So if you see anything in the wax other than maybe a few like mushroom tops that fell off during the burn, that is just the spray paint kind of floating around in there. It's not soot or anything like that. No burn issues here, you guys. It is giving me a wonderful performance. I have been leaving this one lit for about 5 hours at a time. I have not had any issues with this pooling out. I have not had it in a hurricane. I just have been lighting it and it's been pooling out and going on its own. You'll see that there's a little bit of wax right at the very edge that kind of seems to be sticking around. But as I am burning the candle further down, that wax is incorporating into the overall wax pool. So seriously, no complaints here, you guys. I paid for this candle myself. I have really been loving it, and I honestly cannot recommend it enough. This, out of the entire collab, I think is quickly becoming my favorite, and it's why I want another one. I will definitely finish this one before the end of December here, and I really do want this to be a part of my holiday home fragrance traditions going forward. It's a beautiful accompaniment to a lot of the other holiday candles that I've been burning from a lot of different candle companies. It's just a great staple, and I hope that Harry decides to keep this fragrance as a part of his holiday home fragrance releases going forward. I'm not sure that will necessarily be the case. Obviously, we haven't been told that these are going to be sticking around, but I think he would do very well to keep this in the lineup. I know a lot of people have fallen in love with this fragrance, and there's a reason why, you guys. It's beautiful. So once again, if you are a huge fan of Nest Holiday, you're gonna love this Woodside Holiday Traditions. It's absolutely beautiful. Let me give you guys that overhead shot really quickly here so that you can see. So it hasn't even completely pulled out yet, but it definitely will. So these areas right here where you just see the wax being a little bit taller, you can see that, you know, that is kind of happening, but I'm getting a full wax pool each time. And these areas here used to also have that, and that has definitely gone down into the wax. But yeah, look at that. Isn't it pretty? You can obviously still see a little bit of that green that I was obviously not able to spray paint because it would have been really hard to do that. I could have taken the rub and buff a little bit further down to disguise this green, but I don't actually mind that it's peeking through. So yeah, you guys, the burn on this has really truly been excellent, and I just cannot recommend this one wholeheartedly enough. I think this is my favorite new HomeWorx fragrance of all time. He's got to keep it in the lineup. If he doesn't, I think I'll be really bummed, because quite frankly, this is a far superior burn to the Nest Holiday in any of their like larger formats. So, sorry, Laura, but I think Harry wins this one. It's a stunner, and I can't recommend it enough. If you picked up the Woodside Holiday Traditions ceramic, let us know your experience in the comments down below. I really appreciate you guys being here today. Make sure that you're subscribed for the subsequent candle reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Again, it's linked down below if you want it. Have at it. Definitely 2 thumbs up for me. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.